Hello. You may be looking at the bleak shelving on my wall. It is usually filled with amazing and lush houseplants, and you may be wondering, why does it look like this, and why would you film a video in front of it? I recently took a trip, and I wanted to talk about some of the procedures, anxieties, and the emotional core of leaving your houseplants for an extended period of time. I'm Willie, by the way, and I make videos all the time about my life, my plans, and the emotional conundrums that pop up whenever I leave the comforts of my own home. Now, before I get started with showing you how all of the plants have fared with me being not home for 3 weeks, I'm gonna rewind time in my magic machine. This is what I think is the way to set your future self up for success. With all of that being said, I have the green wall to the left of me, and I took almost everything off of it. And I have a large kitchen island, and I put towels down underneath all the plants. I got everything laid out on white towels, very jewel reference. The best idea if you're leaving your plants is to put them spaced enough apart that people can actually water them and check on their conditions, as opposed to just having them be like a big amorphous blob. Also, we clustered things together in plants that are really large and established. I'm stressed to leave these beautiful plants, but a little less stressed because it really doesn't matter. If the herd gets thinned, then that's just the way it goes. And then we had ones that were kind of in the middle and in middle-sized pots. These are just ones in mid-sized pots that need some extra space so that the leaves don't get damaged. And I don't know, I think these peperomias are kind of like that in general anyway. And then we set up what was, in essence, kind of like a hospital section. These are plants that are either really young or kind of having issues and are in smaller pots. So they're going to take a little bit more tending and a little bit more watching. So you don't want them to get missed within the mix of the big ones. We also left the temperature of the house a little bit higher, which should, in theory, let the humidity increase and make the plants not dry out as fast. And I double watered everything. So they're kind of actually a little bit soaked, but that's good because I'm gonna have my friend come over and water in about a week and a half. So, and now let's dive into the plants. This Monstera Peru is just getting so beautiful. First, we got our heartleaf philodendron here. This one has done so good since I transitioned it off the pole. Still pushing out really nice big leaves with a lot of irrigation. Thai constellations have stayed pretty much clutch. This Cebu blue is definitely worth talking about because it's gotten really big. Philodendron Birkin, Pileata Thai. I have a hydrometer and extra towels laid out along with my watering can. I'm about ready to just head out. Everything needs water, but everything is really looking so good. I feel like I'm in a good place with my plants where I wasn't that worried, and I'm ready to dive in and give a little bit of TLC and get things back to a really organized and happy state. I also just realized that we haven't even hit summer yet. It is still technically spring. I guess this is me pre-gaming. So I just want to preface that very few of these have been watered since I returned home. So that's going to be my top priority. This would be the main jungle. Surprisingly, I put the new Thai constellations in that category because after repotting them, they have such good roots. I wasn't that worried about them, and I have to say, spoiler alert, they're doing really, really well. As I put them back on the shelves, I'll show you some progress from each individual plant after I take stock and see how it's doing. But for right now, this section in general looks very lush, very green. These were the middle-sized plants that maybe needed slightly more TLC, but not much, and they survived really, really well with only one watering in between the 3 weeks. This was the hospital. I am really, really ecstatic to say that these fared really, really well. And that was all thanks to my friend Emma for being nice enough to come over and water these and listen to me yak about their care needs. So Emma, if you're watching this, thank you so much. Everything is doing super duper good. I think this one even has some new leaves. We're not going to talk about this. This has just grown like a weed, and that is a great segue. If you can see this strip of my backyard, there are so many weeds. It's going to be Willie Gone Wild around here. I'm going to go mow that in a little bit. Why am I itching myself? Just thinking about weeds and bugs is making me subconsciously itch. And then these biggins look great. The Xanadu holding in there. Lots of new leaves, less yellow leaves from before. Then, of course, the old standby of the Calathea network here. I had no worries about this. I think you could leave this plant for like 6 or 8 weeks. It has so many rhizomes that it barely needs water. These are succulents, and these didn't take any water in 3 weeks, and they all seem to be thriving. I took the same route with this Hoya rope plant. It looks better than when I left it, which just goes to show that, in my opinion, overwatering always does way more damage than underwatering. This is an exercise in vulnerability to show you this plant, which looks like shit. But it is coming along. We have a new growth point. This trauma leaf, I did help. It was strangulating itself. This is a work in progress. It's not about what it looks like right now. It's about what it will look like now that it doesn't have spider mites. And as I'm checking in with these two really large plants in the corner here, which are white bird of paradise and this Monstera deliciosa, they might be a little bit fatigued and a little bit dry, but I also think before I left, I had overwatered them a lot in preparation of leaving. Feast or famine of water. But that being said, this Monstera has 3 new leaves growing in. They look like mystical little cones. And a few dead ones outside of the frame, which I'll get some footage of. And the bird of paradise has another really shallow growth point in there to make a new leaf. So I think summer's going to be bright for these as well, but we'll just have to see. I don't think I'm going to need this, but it is a best friend when you're taking care of plants. And the fact that I am gesticulating and shaking it isn't good for the mechanism inside, so keep that in mind. Do as I say, not as I do. So I was in Nashville for 3 weeks. Nick and I were both there. It was exciting to see the city again. I was in Nashville like 5 years ago, and everything has changed. Half a decade will do that. Nashville had a lot of stuff and a lot of restaurants that we all enjoyed eating at. I'm curious to know, if have you been to Nashville lately? Are you perhaps living in Nashville? I mean, you never know. Someone might be watching this that lives in Nashville. I did actually get a fair amount of content, which I'll show you in a few weeks when I get it edited, of some comings and goings about town. Checking the moisture levels on these. Okay, looks like everything's dry. Most of these were replanted just a few weeks ago, or even less. There's been kind of a plume of mold in the new soil as it's gotten transitioned. A lot of them have gnats, so we're gonna have to deal with that head on in a little bit. It's so annoying and not fun at all to deal with. All right, now that all the watering's been done, I'm going to put a lot of these plants back up in the spots that I so choose. Whispers is eating kibbles, and I hope that the sound pollution of her gently crunching on small tidbits from a steel bowl come through on this video. But if they do not, rest assured that that is what's happening over there. Monstera Peru, or aka the Monstera Galaxy, or whatever they're calling it these days. This one, upon returning home, has one very yellow leaf. It also has a new growth point right here. So I'm going to put it back on its prestige spot on my shelves. It might need a little zhuzhing. That has a limited appeal. Is it more vulnerable because it's showing its flaws forward, or is it just ridiculous because it could use some clever concealment? I do not know. Syngonium confetti. It does have a few dry leaves at the bottom, a few more that are beginning to yellow, and a few in the back that are literally crispy critters and dead. There are a whole bunch of new leaves emerging and growing at the top. Moving on my tchotchkes. Bonus content, Princess Peach. I try and move her around every video. I feel like this one, for me, doesn't get that much love, but I really do love it, and I'm excited to put it back at its rightful spot at the top. And this is just a Moonlight Philodendron. I've had it for a really long time. When I got it, it was very small comparatively, but at the time I thought it was really big. And this is another reminder of if you get these plants and they're like this big or, you know, kind of the medium size, I definitely thought that that's kind of what they were. No, they get gigantic, and the space to house these can be a real concern, but also I enjoy looking at these huge plants. So for me, it's a bonus. Yeah, just look at that. It's just getting really, really big. It seems unfazed. It did not lose or gain anything. It does have 2 new growth points at the top, which is exciting. I'm excited to see the leaves that unfurl. I think will be pretty big. It has been following that path of making bigger and bigger ones as they've emerged. So we'll just see. Oof, watch me, don't fall. Selenite towers, like really? These are not very good around moisture, so it's kind of funny that I have them around a bunch of humidity favoring houseplants, but surprisingly they've held up pretty good. I used to collect a lot of crystals. I feel like I've slowed my roll on that front, and I definitely could use more good energy in my life, so maybe I should buy some new ones. Or is it, should I just appreciate the ones that I have? Leave me a comment to affirm that I should appreciate what I have, because there's a lot of them and I spend a lot of money on these and I don't need to spend any more money on them. Consumerism, always a safe analog for true fulfillment, at least for a short time. Unfortunately, we all know where that leads. Dwarf fiddly fig. New buds at the top. Nothing new coming out, but I did see, oh, actually I lied. Yeah, there is one new leaf at the top that's very tiny. How about this Dracaena? It's doing really, really well. Pretty soon I'm gonna have one of those Dracaena-like trees if I like it or not. These make me think of travel because I've been to multiple hotels that had like a lobby full of the Dracaenas that are in the pot and then they have the long stem. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this one, I am appreciating it more in its adult size. For a while, I think it was getting overwatered. That's my solution to everything, is say that it was overwatered at one point. But, you know, it's a houseplant. It probably was. Looks great. I think it looks way better than when I left. And there is actively 3 new leaves and a bud coming out. At some point, I'm going to have to clean all these white pots, but that'll be another day. I'm going to double fist this. This is a variegated Hoya Hindu rope that this nubbin up here is new growth this summer, as is right there. This Hoya tricolor, it's still living. It does not have any new growth points, but it doesn't look any worse than when I left it. It's peperomia here, and it's efflorescing. This is overwhelming. This heartleaf philodendron just looks awesome. And since I left, we have multiple new shiny leaves. Oh, these are so pretty. The cascading haircut is held up, which is frankly kind of exciting. This is the Epipinatum Marble Queen, and these are all new leaves since 3 weeks ago. And there's another one that's about to emerge. Variegation is staying so nice, so variegated, for lack of a better word, and it's just doing great. I love this plant. I feel like the leaves look a lot like little tiny monstera leaves. It's so good. It's just so good. Syngonium albo, which I spoke about a little bit in my last video, doing great. Leaves look great. It looks healthier than before even. Everything is robust. Bottom leaves look good. We did lose a few of the ghost leaves, but a few of them are holding on longer than some of the others. New stalk here, where the ghost leaves are, that's finally emerging with what looks like a real variegated leaf that will survive. So that is the ticket. That's the big ticket item since I left. Oh, so nice. A positive update since returning home. This philodendron linnet has seemed to respond well to all of my spider mite foiling efforts. It looks to be clean for once, and it has new very healthy leaves emerging, and what looks like one more that is coming. This plant has been so fussy, and it loves getting spider mites, and it makes sugar crystals, but I do like it. You know, all that work and all that equity is turning into a very cool looking plant. Here's a plant that we all know I love talking about, probably too much. I'm a bit of a one-trick pony with this, but this is the Philodendron biliatai, and it's just looking so epic. We have one slightly yellowing leaf at the bottom, which I think is just probably fueling the fire of this massive growth point that's coming here. And it's getting big enough that I'm probably gonna add a stake or a moss pole soon, so stay tuned for that exciting update. I've been seeing these out and about, various sizes, and what a heavy hitter for such an affordable price tag now. I've seen ones bigger than this for like $25. And I would highly recommend if you're looking to have an alien-like scary plant that has a heart of gold in your house. Well, here we are with the Thai constellation Monstera that has only been a resident at this house for like a couple months now, maybe 2 months, and I'm happy to report there is a new growth point emerging. This plant is thriving here, and I'm so excited because I really wanted one of these, and there's nothing better than when something happens that you really wanted something, and then when you get it, it is actually better than your expectations, which I think has happened like 3 times in my life. Plant number 2 of the Thai constellations, and this one even has something more exciting, which is an actual leaf with fenestrations that's coming out here, and I'm going to be very gentle with it and not crack it off. They have fared really, really well because they didn't have these 2 new leaves when I left. So the Epipinatum variegated elbow, not to be confused with the marble queen, because at their best moments they definitely look like siblings, not twins. Doing really, really well. There are a few brown spots on these half moon leaves. The future is bright for this. It's getting really, really big. Love it. Back on the wall. That one looks very happy and very at home. Okay, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Snow Queen. Wow. I mean, this one just really has taken a turn for the better. So much new growth, very stable for this creamy white. These are so beautiful. Just looks like it's from another world, like a fairy tale plant. But I think it has more growth points than when I left. Looks fuller at the top. It's truly a stun. And I have been seeing more identified Snow Queen pothos in the wild, so they seem to be a lot easier to get this summer than they were last summer. Ficus shiveriana. It's in a really good place, I feel like, compared to when I left it. There's even a new growth point right there. Here's a fun one, the goldfish plant. It just looks so lush, so shiny. I'm really excited to see it flower. They say it does that semi-regularly. Showing you this is probably going to be my most pessimistic experience of the video. This is the Monstera adansonii, and no shocker, it has more yellowing leaves. But it also has a whole bunch of new growth at the top. Like there's some good and there's some bad, and if that isn't a metaphor of life, a full life lived, I don't know what is. It is getting epically long, but I don't like it. And that's okay, because when I bought it, I really liked it. And as long as it holds on, I'm going to keep it. Pull these dead ones off. Compostable crispy critters there. Everything's back on the wall. It's feeling a little bit better in here, and I just wanted to show the sad updates that spider mites have taken residence in that are going to need to be dealt with. So I'm going to show you those now. Bromanthe trio star, it has a lot of spider mites on the underside of the leaves, so it's going to have to be put into the triage center and then treated. Happy bean peperomia, it's not so happy. Lots of webbing of spider mites. I don't even want to start on this thing. I hate it. All kidding aside, the pink princess philodendron is showing signs of spider mites. Queen Anthurium stump, it is no longer viable, so it will be composted and their little pot recycled. This one really hurts, but I will probably buy another one. Thanks for coming along on this journey today. I hope that you enjoyed my process for leaving my plants at home while I go out for a trip. I'm glad this is done. The bandwidth of travel has left me quite at a loss for words, but you're the best. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'm going to talk to you very soon. Okay, bye. Done. That's the end. That's all I got.